Well, I'm definitely a big Godzilla fan. All the early Toho movies are just so cool. All the toys are really cool. So getting the opportunity to do a mashup with Santa Cruz was just an awesome opportunity. So I really wanted to do something kind of different and just kind of swing for the fences and go big with it.
Yeah, bringing that diversity like right away was, I think, a huge turning point for us on figuring out how to approach this project. Just deciding in the beginning that we were going to use multiple artists to kind of bring their own style, own interpretation, really lended itself to some variety on the project. Thomas has a lot of like Toho character knowledge, so that was super helpful, just getting all those little details right, getting all the character design right, and even just down to the color of all the characters. The cool thing on that project was that he was able to develop the shape in conjunction with the graphic all at the same time, and that really is helpful versus getting handed a shape and then drawing to the shape. It really allows the artist to put their unique stamp on the whole project.
I started with some kind of a jaggedy, weird shape, something that was kind of inspired by Godzilla, like scales and spikes. And as the graphics started developing more, I started developing the shape a little further, and then just kind of made sure they both paired up in the end. Well, it's the biggest board that Santa Cruz has produced to date. I mean, it's pretty massive. And I just thought it'd be cool to kind of come up with a shape that was, you know, Godzilla inspired, not just doing a graphic with Godzilla. So something that's kind of got the scales and the spikes and just something really jagged and angular and something that would kind of complement the graphic, you know? This graphic took a long time. It's for sure the biggest skateboard graphic I've inked to date, which is appropriate since it's Godzilla. I would say start to finish with thumbnailing and kind of coming up with the beginning ideas and actually inking it, doing the colors, lay out the shape. It's probably 100 hours at least just on one graphic. I would think 60 to 70 of those hours just inking it. So it was definitely an undertaking. The time varies for a project like this. You know, there's so many steps, there's so many moving parts. You kind of start off pretty small, just with a piece of paper and a pencil, kind of doing thumbnails, just really small, just to kind of figure out the idea, make sure everybody's on board. Then you do another round of that, kind of draw it slightly bigger, further develop it. And then again, another version even tighter, and then another version that's actually sketched to size. You know, really kind of dial in those little details, and once everything is the way you want it to look, you throw it on a light table, throw another piece of paper on top of it, trace it out again, and then with that tracing, you can go to town with the ink and actually ink the board, you know. I try to work with the same types of tools that Jim Phillips did to try to keep that Santa Cruz lineage as far as the art goes. So it's a brush, an old school dip nib, and some technical pens, but it's all just ink on board and just a lot of blood and sweat.
Yeah, so I did the Mecha Godzilla hand, which was like a totally different challenge from the reissue inspired ones, which obviously capturing both the screaming hand and the iconic visual of Godzilla and the Mecha Godzilla created its own challenge. It was really fun, but you know, those challenges create, you know, new opportunities. I think it was a really smooth process there too. So Luke Preece did the Knox Firepit with the Shin Godzilla, and Shin Godzilla is a very popular version of Godzilla with a huge following on that. And Luke Preece is primarily digital, so it's cool to see like the difference from like Mako with ink on paper, Luke Preece with the digital art, and how they still look really awesome. The details are really cool, and his process is really cool. I think he's got a unique style with the hatch marks. So for the Natas Godzilla, there was a really cool challenge where the Natas Panther has a unique angle that he's coming out of, that's like coming from down through the triangle, whereas like Godzilla definitely would not be in that pose. So there was a unique challenge of like making sure you capture Godzilla's likeness and don't bum anyone out there, as well as like stoking out the Natas fans and capturing that same pose, but in a way that felt natural. Was probably, I think, for me, the hardest challenge with that graphic. I think it really turned out well.
So another thing Mako helped us with, obviously just being fluent Japanese, helped us a ton with some of the katakana lettering across the project. So he was adding support to make sure that our lettering was more authentic on all the pieces. He grew up with Toho. I mean, Toho is giant in Japan, and it's very well respected, and he just made that really clear early on what an honor it was to work on a project for Toho specifically. Yeah, it just felt like a natural fit. They already have, their own huge cast of characters. We have our own huge cast of characters it just felt like a great fit, and then we were working with a good partner that was very interested in collaborating and pushing those limits and doing a true mashup.
Well, the Roskopp 5, as you can see with the name, is an evolution from the original target, which was just a target and a hand coming through, and over time it evolves into what's really behind it, and the 5th evolution is this abomination of what it was behind it, and it's like faces and creatures and critters and all sorts of miscellaneous stuff. So being able to adapt that with like the Godzilla universe, Tyler said, with Thomas's knowledge of the characters, it just looks amazing and has all of the ones you'd want to see on that graphic. Yeah, I mean, I just looked at them for the first time earlier today, actually, and seeing them in person with the the foil treatments, the details up close, everything just came out 10 times better than when you see them digitally on the mock-up. The best experience is seeing them in person. I think that's what most people will see as well.
It's surreal. I mean, it's unbelievable, I've always wanted to be an artist as a little kid. I've always liked designing products, but getting to design a skateboard was always that one thing out of reach. Because you can always get t-shirts made, you can always get prints made, but you have to kind of be in the right place at the right time, and know the right people, and be there to actually get a skateboard made or be asked to design one. So to get to do that for Santa Cruz, the brand that kind of started it all for me artistically, let alone something like this, like Godzilla, a collaboration that's just like a mind-blowing bucket list kind of thing to work on. It's just surreal. I never thought I'd be in this position to get to be the person now making these deck graphics and hopefully stoking out future generations on the artwork.